Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 of Oxbridge Study Secrets. In the last video, we talked about the flaws of the existing learning styles model. So now we're going to bring it all together with 4 really powerful methods for learning more effectively. You guys ready? Let's jump in. So the first method for more effective learning is taking what's called a multi-sensory approach to learning. So how this basically works is instead of focusing on learning via one sensory mode, so just visually, or just using our auditory sense, or just our kinesthetic sense of touch, we should look over the content we're trying to learn using a combination of different sensory modes. And one of the most popular examples of this is called dual coding, which involves combining verbal materials, like our written word basically, with visual materials, which is what we're seeing. And this is what I showed you in my videos on how I made my typed and written revision notes, so please do check that out for a more detailed example. But basically with dual coding, we represent the same information both verbally, like written notes as I said, and visually, so using diagrams and colours and highlights, charts and timelines, which just basically gives our brain 2 different ways of remembering that same content. Now, the more creative that we get with the visual materials we design, the more likely we are to remember the information that is being described. And combining this with more detailed text reinforces the content that we're trying to learn and allows us to recall it with greater ease and accuracy. Now, the second method is called subject-focused learning. And as we said in the last video, the nature of the subject being taught is actually more important than any individual learning preferences that we might have. So we should always think about what methods of learning may be best suited to each subject before incorporating our own individual learning preferences. As we said guys, practice papers in maths are probably a lot more effective than audio tapes stimulating our auditory sense on how to solve problems. And learning Spanish grammar endings may be so much easier through reading and making dual-coded notes compared to drawing pictures. And as we said, good luck with any language listening test if you've only been making written revision notes. So the third improved model for learning is doing something called competency-based learning. And this specifically targets how, whether we have a concrete or abstract thinking style shouldn't inform how we learn. Instead, we've got to consider how competent we are at the subject or module in question. Because the thing is when we're exposed to a completely new or unfamiliar concept, it would really help to learn the concrete facts and methods that form the foundations of that concept. And then as we become more familiar and competent with it, we can start to experiment with applying that knowledge in an abstract way. In other words, concrete and abstract don't reflect our learning style, they just reflect our level of expertise at a certain point in time. We should begin as concrete learners, getting those firm foundations on that subject when we're a novice or a beginner, and then shift to being more of an abstract learner, developing analogies and seeing these patterns as our competency reaches an advanced or expert level. And the fourth more effective way to learn is to develop all of our cognitive abilities as opposed to focusing on just one. Because instead of focusing on our natural strengths, we should really devote time to developing the skills that come less naturally to us. Because as well as having benefits in studying, like the multi-sensory approach to learning that we covered with dual-coded notes, it also just helps us to improve our cognitive abilities overall, which is what's going to really help us when we make the transition from formal education to the real world, where having that wider range of well-developed cognitive skills can help us to really solve problems we encounter more practically, and more effectively. Because guys, look, in truth, exams are such a terrible way to measure intelligence and success in life. They just are terrible at that. And a lot of us become so cynical because of exams and this academic journey, and we really want to learn the best way to just get through them. Unfortunately, this just doesn't help us in the long term at all. But the good news is that these methods of learning show that there is a middle ground which will allow you to do what you need to get the exam grade that you want, while also helping you develop those skills for your future life and career without taking too much more of your time. That's why I wrote my book, The Ultimate Guide to Exam Success, so students could get great grades in the least stressful way while learning valuable tools that they can use throughout their lives. Guys, I really hope this video on more effective ways to learn and study for your exams has been helpful to you in giving you ideas on how you can study and learn more effectively, while also debunking some of the existing myths around learning styles. I'll be back next week with another video, and in the meantime, please do like, share and subscribe and get in touch via social media. I genuinely always appreciate your feedback and comments. Guys, keep growing, keep striving, keep shining.